supposed to be moving.
Right, everyone, we're moving on in like 3 to 5 minutes. If anyone wants to ask me any questions, I'm here. I was just saying that on the blog, the blog address is at the top of that leaflet that I handed out. I did do an example of this in maths, and it is all written up there, so how you can get English, reading, writing, communication into maths, it's on there, and obviously if you've got any questions, just email or send me a tweet. Okay, thank you very much. When's the book out? When I've written it.
Next up, we're in here. We're not moving.
Oh, we're not moving?
No.
Yeah.
This way. After you?
I'm staying here. He's not listening anyway.
Yours is an answer.
Well, I think before we got told to do it.
Are you really?
Oh, good. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Although I did a book, Ron Bowman's book, and Judith was like, oh, a fantastic recommendation. You know, I had to do that. She read it myself. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So if anyone can do anything with them with this.
When are you staying?
Where is it? It's very soft. Yes. I know I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's coming down. It's the distance. I know, I've got it. As soon as you start speaking. 20 years. Yes. I can't see shake.
Oh, I know why. Because you wrote it into me and laugh at it.
Familiar faces. Alex! I had you killed him earlier on. Literally. Sorry? I had you killed him earlier on. This is
Killed who?
the audience.
I haven't killed anyone yet. Planning too late. My weaponry's next door.
Yeah, good. Okay, now there's something about it. Years ago when I was working at Soho, the woman that owned all the the woman that owned all the nightclubs that I worked in, she had a really hard time. And she said to me, you know the opera job?
It's weird seeing people like fellow
She said, yes, that's it cost me a fortune to get rid of my accent.
No, I mean, I get you. I
Always
You're in for the long haul, yeah. From the early days, like I owe you. There's a debt there that's paid.
My pleasure. Unfortunately, it'll be worth less after I do so. Oh God, one of those artificial silences I feel I have to fill. Hi David, nice to see you again. Shall we begin? Shall we kick off? Turning on a device. What's that? These aren't from me, I'm afraid. They're far too professional. Can I, yeah, I think I may as well begin. Can I leave it back into the door? I would prefer it if possible. It's an old classroom OCD twitch. Good morning, good afternoon. It's really lovely to see you, and I'm recognising several people from the internet. You're actually real people, and not just dark mirror avatars.
Cheering
with Charlie Brooker. We're all real people. This then makes it even more terrifying. Right, it's lovely to meet you all. I hope I'll have a chat with you afterwards. This is a 40-minute slot, is that correct? Can anyone organise me? Something like that. Right, 40 minutes. I'll try and keep it under 50 then. Normally I rattle on about behaviour in schools and so on, but my new kind of pet thing to whine about is research in education. Now this is actually something that's becoming very, very popular. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with Ben Goldacre's excellent work in the field of medicine and the natural sciences and pharmaceuticals. And when Helen was suggesting a topic today, and I said, well, I'd like to talk about research in schools, and she said, well, can we make it a bit more positive than just trashing something, right? But I think there is a positive here. And the positive is to, if I can coin a rather cheesy phrase, to make ourselves teacher-proof. To make ourselves a little bit more immune, to develop an immune system for the garbage that filters down to us as teachers, which will make us better teachers. I mean, it's no mistake that I've started off with the key symbol of Dr. Frankenstein and his monster, who's called Adam, incidentally. Not a lot of people know that. He does have a name. I love the fact he's having a fag with him. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's maybe the relationship we need to develop between ourselves and research. I think we need to learn to have a fag, have a cigarette with our research and kind of get a bit more comfortable with it. I am of an age, and there are some people in this room who look of a piece with me or terrifyingly younger, who came through a generation where we entered education in the late noughties. Is that what we say? The noughties, yes. The early noughties, rather. And there was a lot of things that were just a given. There were a lot of things that were just assumed that this is what you do to make a classroom work. And it really was dogma. And I struggled with it for years and years and years. And I can credit Ben Goldacre for this. I read his book and I thought to myself, hang on, you actually can challenge science, even without a PhD in science. And that it's okay to disagree. I remember studying philosophy at university and being amazed and delighted with the feeling when you first disagree with somebody like Plato. And you think to yourself, it's okay to disagree with somebody who might be an expert in their field. That's okay, as long as you can back it up. So, this is hopefully meant to be a positive thing. The reason being is that if we allow ourselves to be slaves of this kind of educational research, then, I mean, it is harmful. It damages children and it wastes our time. And I think if you're interested in social mobility, as I am, and I think most of us are as teachers, we care deeply about our children and getting them better chances in life. I think one of the coolest things we can do to children is waste our time. Which means that I don't want to waste our time on stuff like, and I'm going to say the words now, brain gym. That's kind of like my paradigm example. That's my perfect case of the type of stuff that you can do in a classroom which will really do nothing apart from waste your time and waste your time. And the amazing thing is that millions of pounds are spent on this, and millions of human hours are wasted on this. I'll talk about some more examples of the type of research that I'm talking about in a second. I'm going to start off with my Jerry Springer confessional. I don't think any discussion is worth spit unless you can somehow shame yourself and bring yourself into humiliation. So I'm going to do it just now. When I went into teaching, and I was trained here trained in this very building in one of these rooms in level 8. So I'm getting a kind of weird feeling that I've got a report that's late to hand, and that essentially I'm a shit teacher, right? Which is a very common feeling in my first few years, and is increasingly so as I grow older. I trained as a PGCE student. I also did something called the fast track, right? Which is terribly, terribly whizzy and fabulous. It's a bit like Teach First, before Teach First. And it was meant to be for people who had management credentials or some kind of academic credential, which would fast track them into leadership positions. Thank God I managed to avoid that. Thank God, I'm so pleased. You'll get some kind of idea of what the fast track was like if I tell you that the slogan was, "Be the inspiration from the staff room to the classroom." Right? And if you thought having the name Behaviour Guru was a target on your back, try and say that to your colleagues in the staff room. I'm here to inspire you. I'm here to, I'm the light. I have been to the mountaintop. Jesus Christ, I'm Moses syndrome, my apologies. And one of the things that they taught us, and I'm not fussing with you here, and I will try and keep swearing to a minimum, I'm not fussing with you, is NLP. Now many of you will have heard or be familiar with neuro-linguistic programming. And this is something that the DFE sponsored at great expense for myself and the other fast trackers, and there were tens of thousands of us. So we're not that elite. We were paid to do this. And we were sent on 3-day residential training programs for this. I went on 2. I signed up. And I signed up because I believed if the DFE were sponsoring it, it must be brilliant. It must be cutting edge stuff. And if you don't know NLP, count yourself lucky. Because NLP is a crock of shit. Sorry, I'll say it. It's a crock of shit. It's rubbish. It was designed by a couple of chancers called Bandler and Grinder. What a great name, Bandler and Grinder. Yeah, it sounds legit, doesn't it? You'd give them money. And they wrote all kinds of books and pamphlets, The Science of Success and so on. And it was all about how your behaviour could influence other people. And there was a little bit of psychology, and there was a little bit of emergent neuroscience, and there was a little bit of philosophy, and there was a little bit of Norman Vincent Peale and the power of positive thinking. And it was a real bag of ideas. And if you've seen Dead and Brown, you'll know the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. That's the kind of claims that it made. For instance, the claims were things like you could tell when people were lying. Right? All the time, consistently. Right? I still don't know when people are lying. Right? It's totally gullible. The claims were that you could modify people's behaviours by, for instance, and I'm not fussing with you here, by matching your blink rate to their blink rate. And then they would instantly develop some kind of rapport with you, and then you could pace, lead, or lead, pace, I forget now, it's far too long. You could make them do things. It was like mind control. And all this rubbish. And I fell for it completely. And I was one of these devotees, And I think one of the dangers of novelty science is that because it's cutting edge and very, very groovy, and I hate that word, groovy. When something's very groovy, people love it and they fall in love with it, and they want to feel special, they want to feel part of this brand new movement, and we are the future. We're going to be the inspiration from the staff room to the classroom. And I was one of them. I used to bang on about how good this was. I even went on training courses to be a hypnotist. Right? And I have certified a certain level of hypnosis. Hypnosis isn't complete rubbish, incidentally. It's more to do with just autosuggestion. But most of NLP was rubbish, and this was paid for by the government. This was sponsored. This was authorised. This had authority for me. And the more I dug into it, it didn't take long. I realised that in the 70s, NLP was largely debunked. In the 70s, when I was rattling about on a Raleigh Javelin and watching Metal Mickey, for those of you of an age, even then it was debunked. But decades later, it was being promoted, not just by the UK government, but governments of state authorities and federal authorities throughout America, and many other places like Australia and Germany and so on. It takes a long time for something to die. You probably heard the phrase zombie facts, zombie research. Myths that emerge and then kind of stagger on for decades. Headshot. Even a headshot won't put them down, and that's why they're zombies. And we get a lot of this in education. Things that won't die. So I'm just saying, I fell for it. I completely fell for it, and I think we have to be totally critical of ourselves. And the thing I love about these kind of situations, now, you have to clarify for me, is this a pedagogue or is this a teach me? Pedagogue. Oh. This is the pedagogue. Right. Tell me when it comes to teach me. Exactly, yes. Okay, but you have to lower the tone. Exactly. My point is that I can't be critical of anything else once I'm critical of myself. You know, and I felt this kind of stuff too. I feel like I've escaped a cult. Now, there are many pitfalls of educational research. Those of you, again, who are familiar with good science and good educational science will know some of these or most of these already. These are all very problematic. Number one is probably confirmation bias. If you are setting up to do some kind of educational research, one of the things you need to avoid is interpreting your data to suit the kind of data you're looking for. To lasso only the data that you think confirms what it is you want to know. You mustn't start off any scientific enterprise, and I'm including social science here, with the assumption that you're seeking to prove what it is you think exists. Yeah? I mean, in the 16th century, people would go around Britain in circles on sailing ships, looking for mermaids. You know, that's the kind of assumption that people still make in educational science. For instance, you wouldn't get a natural scientist, like a chemist or somebody, starting off by saying, I'm going off to prove that sodium boils at 1,000 degrees Kelvin. You know, that would be a completely mad thing to say. You'd be shot down in an instant by your colleagues. Whereas if you start off by saying,